Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back, Championship Leadership Podcast. And today we got Rich Lewis. Rich, thanks for being here.
Great. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we were just talking. Raina Rose, who's been on the show before, introduced us. So excited to have you here. I know you got a new book as well. Is that right?
Right. I have a book, Sitting with God, A Journey to Your True Self Through Centering Prayer. And I keep saying new because it is new, but actually in mid-August, it'll be 1 year. So it's hard to believe that
Okay.
1 year has passed, but that's still new.
That is still
That's
new.
still new for a book.
Yeah, and especially this past year that we've had with everything going on, I think that's definitely still new. So, um, well, real quick, first question I like to ask everyone before we get into a little bit more about you and the book and everything else. Championship leadership is the name of the podcast. So, what does championship leadership mean to you when you hear that?
Championship leadership to me means I guess taking ownership of your life and not being afraid to take ownership of your life, which might even mean uh, uh, getting out of your comfort zone. So if you have a nudge to try and do something new that scares you, it still means you should move forward and trust God and trust your inner intuition that you can move forward. So it means,
Yeah.
just moving forward even if things scare you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I love that. 100% agree as well. So tell us a little bit more about you, and for the listeners that haven't come across your path yet, give us a little peek into your journey and how you've gotten to where you are today, and also let us know how that led to your book, and maybe even a little bit about how that project came about for you.
Sure, sure. Um, Well, I guess I consider myself an introvert. I'd always been attracted to silence, just didn't know what to do in the silence. But I knew I had read, Carl McColman had written a number of books that I read in 2010, 2011, talked a lot about silence and how powerful and transforming it could be, and it can be. And I don't remember him talking about a practice to do, but it sort of piqued my interest, and I continued exploring silence and just sitting in silence and not really knowing what I was doing. And it was challenging and it was difficult just to sit by yourself and be quiet. But then I came across centering prayer in late 2013. I was just simply perusing Amazon looking for a book to read, and I found a book called Healing the Divide, Recovering Christianity's Mystic Roots by Amos Smith. And I purchased the Kindle book and started reading it. And in it, he talked about a practice he had been doing for about 15 years at that point called centering prayer. And that really piqued my interest because I now had a container or a practice that I could do in the silence. And the
Mhm.
other thing that piqued my interest in his book, he called it the Jesus paradox. He referred to Jesus as God and human, and kind of the paradox of that and what that means. So his book talked a lot about both of those topics, about silent prayer, of centering prayer, and he talked about the Jesus paradox. So um, off I went exploring more about centering prayer. Began a email dialogue with him via his website. To my surprise, he responded, and we had a lot of back and forth. And actually, to this day, we're friends. I'm on the East Coast. He's actually in I believe he's in Oregon right now, on the West Coast, and we've actually developed a nice friendship since then. And I began working with him off of his website, and I began asking him more questions about his book and his upcoming books and centering prayer and the Jesus paradox. And kind of off I went. Then I began practicing centering prayer and reading and learning more about it, and then created my own site, Silence Teaches, 4 years ago. I still work with Amos, and I still have my Monday meditations going off of his site, but they also go off of my 4-year-old site as well. So I guess it all started because I had an interest in silence, and then I found a practice for it in his book. And then from there, a lot of different things happened, from a website to teaching people to coaching people, and to Amos challenging me to write this book, which was published last August.
Gotcha. So yeah, where did this interest in silence come from? That's interesting because a lot of people don't know what to do in silence and don't really like it, actually. I coach a lot of clients, and we talk about meditation and the importance of it. And a lot of people really struggle with it. And I think a large part of it is because of the piece of just being there with themselves without a phone, whatever it might be, right? That silence piece. So it's interesting to hear you say that you always um, enjoyed the silence. So where does that come from, or why is it?
As I think about it, I think even as a young kid, I just liked, I liked being with friends, but I liked silence, and I liked being out in nature, or I liked hearing the sounds of nature, or I liked going to the creek, or I liked looking at the ocean. It just attracted me. It was just something, and I didn't mind doing it with others, but it just, or even night. Sometimes nighttime is very attractive as well, and calm and peaceful. So I think, as I think about it, even going back to as a young kid, even before I was a teenager, I think I always liked the outdoors, and I'm not a camper. I don't mean, but I'm a,
Yeah.
but I've always enjoyed nature and creeks and trees, and the nighttime and the night sky and the night sounds. Just, it's a good question. I don't know why. It just
Yeah.
is very attractive to me. I think maybe it just calms me. I think maybe it's because it is soothing to me, and it is calming to me. And I do feel like I'm connecting to something. Maybe back then I didn't know what I was connecting to, but maybe now here I am at age 55, realizing I think I'm connecting to God in a
Yeah.
deeper and better way.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Um, well, who have been some of the, as we talk kind of back to championship leadership, who have been some of the influences in your life, championship leaders, coaches, mentors that you've had come across your path, and also to that is, what are some of the characteristics that have really stood out to you from some of those people, and that maybe you've taken those characteristics to help who you are as a leader, as a man.
Sure. Well, I would definitely say Amos Smith, simply because he recognized my interest in silence and centering prayer. So he was a great mentor, just because he was a good listener. He was patient, and he was a good listener, but then he also was good at just asking me questions. And then he could see that I had something to say, and an important voice, and he was the one that challenged me to write a book. And then he had already written one book and was in the middle of writing his second book at the time that he challenged me to write the book. So I would definitely say Amos Smith was definitely very influential to me, simply because he could see something in me that I couldn't see, and nudged it out of me. Writing a book and practicing centering prayer was something that he saw that I should share with the world, and share my version of it, and how it has helped and healed me with others versus his version of it.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely Amos Smith. Um, and then another gentleman, believe it or not, I guess his name is Bradley Grinnan. I had gone through. He had a coaching program where he kind of taught you how to, and he wouldn't say you don't fish for clients, but how you don't fish for clients ever. How you help people. He taught me how to help people. So
Uh-huh.
how to use Facebook and Facebook Messenger, and how to share, how to get into the minds and hearts of people, so that you can say things that will help them. They can see what you're writing, and they can see what you're speaking, and they can realize, you know what, I think this guy can help me. So he just taught me, if you want to coach people, you're not fishing for people, you're really just helping and serving people. So if you help and serve, the people will notice it, and they will come to you if they think that you can help them. So I learned a lot from him, in that coaching is not about marketing and advertising. It's really just about helping and serving people. And if you
Yeah.
do that, the people will naturally come to you that need your help.
Yeah, it's interesting, and really, I think that's so true in all industries. It's really about serving and helping people, and if you're a business um, that does that,
Hmm.
typically you see those are the ones that really thrive, is right. So
Right. Exactly.
absolutely, yeah, coaching. I mean, that's what it's all about. Is how can you help and serve? clients that you have.
And you just need to be patient about it. I've had people that I've landed on a phone call with and nothing happened, and that was perfectly fine. It just meant they were not ready. It wasn't something that they were ready for at that point in their life. And then all of a sudden, 1 year later or 2 years later, I'm getting a phone call or I'm getting an email saying I'm ready, let's start. So I learned from Bradley, and then even just from myself, just to be patient, just help and serve. And when someone is ready, they'll reach out to you. And that's happened to me on numerous occasions where all of a sudden, out of the blue, I get a random email saying I'm ready, can we do it? And I look back and see that, oh, I spoke to this person 2 years ago, or I spoke to this person 1 year ago. So don't give up. I don't give up. I just keep helping and serving, and know when they're ready, when it makes sense for them, they'll
Yeah,
come.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, well, I like to talk about uh, vision with championship leadership. I think great leaders have they have an incredible vision, and they have courage to take action on that. So I'd like to know, what's the vision for you, for the service that you provide to your clients, for the message that you have as part of your book. Like, what's your vision of where you want to go and the impact that you want to make, maybe even short term, next 5 years, moving forward.
Sure. For me, it's as simple as, centering prayer has healed and transformed me, and I simply want to share it with as many people as I can, in case it's something that can help them as it has helped me. So since the book's been published last August, I've been getting in front of as many people as I can in various ways, whether it's podcasts or book study groups or church groups that ask me to speak, whether it's me just posting on Instagram and Facebook, sharing, my story, and whether it's me just I'll do lives on Facebook and then I'll convert them into a video and put it on YouTube. So really, that's what I've been doing since the book's been published, is just sharing the book, sharing how it has healed and transformed me, um, and letting people see for themselves if it's a practice they want to try and do. And
Yeah,
I've also, one other thing I've been doing, and this Saturday will be the 12th one. I'm doing a Zoom book study for anybody that wants to come. So I simply was going chapter by chapter through the book, sharing key points from each chapter, and then really just slowing down and letting whoever's on the call ask me questions or share what they've experienced from the book, or just share in general. And that's been a real neat experience that I've been doing every Saturday.
yeah,
It's just a fun time. It's not me lecturing with people. It's me simply sharing and then being quiet and letting people react and talk. And it's really been a whole lot of fun. And I guess I have two more to go. And I'm going to miss it. And I think I'm going to have to continue doing something. I think I'll take a week off, because it'll have been at that point like 14 weeks in a row. So I'll probably take 1 or 2 weeks off. But then I'm thinking, I think I need to continue it in some capacity,
yeah,
because
absolutely.
people were coming, people were enjoying it. And I was learning from others as much as people were learning from me.
Yeah,
So that's my main focus, is sharing the practice and how it has healed and transformed me, in case it can help other people.
yeah, that's powerful. I love it. What's why don't we take a look? This is a question I like to ask. We all have turning points, critical moments in our life, kind of that fork in the roads type moment where either you go left or right, and I would love to hear from you. Maybe a time in your life where you're in that moment, and obviously you made the decision that you had, which had you where you are today. But had you made a different decision, you could be in a very different place, right? I mean, we all have these moments, and we multiple moments. Maybe some days we have these daily, right? But definitely over the last year and a half, with the pandemic and everything that's gone on, a lot of people, a lot of listeners, entrepreneurs, business owners, I think, are faced with those moments a little bit more so than normal. And it's powerful to hear from others and how they've chosen those moments and how they've been able to move their life forward because of it. Is there a moment that comes to mind for you as I kind of throw that out for you?
I would say COVID. I was fortunate in that my job was not impacted. It moved from working in an office. I work in the 401k business, and I'm day to day. I have 7 clients, and they contact me for their daily operations of their 401k plan. So I was very fortunate in that I remember that one day where they said, we'll probably have to work from home for 2 weeks and then we'll be back. Well, that was in March of 2020. I
Yeah.
went home and I haven't gone back yet.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate in then that my job could continue from
Right.
home in the den, and I got monitors and different things. But my wife was not as fortunate. She and her mother and sister have a travel agency that primarily does colleges and university team travel. Well,
Okay.
that came to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
And
Right.
basically, they went from having business to having no business for almost one full year.
Yeah.
So for my wife and I, it was very scary because we had to begin taking a look at our finances, and we were concerned, are we going to be able to stay in our house?
Mhm.
So I guess
Yeah.
for if both of us, so that was probably the biggest impact. With my wife and I had to stop, slow down,
Yeah.
and say it looks like we're having one income in the family right now, and we need to figure out, what can we stop doing, what can we turn off, so to speak.
Yeah.
How do we need to manage our money, and how long do we think this is going to take so that we can get through it? So it was scary, and she didn't even know if the business would it would it thrive, or will it come to an end?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the good news is it's slowly coming back, and she's been
Good.
getting business. So she spent really the last year. It was very hard for her because she spent a lot of time organizing and getting structured, but basically having no business and having no cash flow, and
Yeah.
just trying to be optimistic that it'll happen. It'll happen. I got to be patient. And it was
Mhm.
it was at least a year before suddenly she started getting business again and people started flying again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the biggest change for us was that we needed to take a strong look at our finances and figure out how we going to pay all how we going to pay all of
Yeah.
our bills and get
Well, and
through
like
it.
you say, there's always lessons to be learned in these times where we're forced to do things that we wouldn't otherwise necessarily do. And being forced to slow down, I think, especially for me, even was a great blessing in disguise. And maybe it gave her some opportunity, like you said, to get some systems or structure and some things in order that when you're running and gunning and you don't have the time to slow down, you don't necessarily aren't able to get those things taken care of. So yeah, it's interesting to see how this will be a time we won't forget, definitely. And I'm glad to hear that you were able to make it through that. And hopefully we're stronger and better on the other side of it because of it.
Agree. I mean, I think we are. You'll learn what you're fully capable of, and you'll learn which was why my practice was so helpful, centering prayer, because you learn what to let go of, and what do you have to let go of because you can't control it, and then focus on what can you control and what actions can you take, in the environment we're in.
Yeah, right. Yeah, definitely. Well, as we start to wrap this up here, if there's one or two things that you could give the listeners, maybe it's from your book, that if they were to implement today, it would help move their life forward today, what would that be?
I would say try silence. So if the idea of silence, and I know we didn't get into centering prayer and what it is, and I'll basically say maybe take a look at my website, silenceteaches.com. There's a free ebook on centering prayer so they can learn what it is. So I
Mm.
would just encourage and challenge people, try silence, take baby steps. So even if make it the first thing you do as you begin your day, and that's what I do, but just do 1 minute or 5 minutes
Yeah,
of silent prayer, and then begin your day and try it for 30 days and see how it helps you. See how it helps you.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you say the website again, as we'll get that linked up for sure as well.
Sure. Silenceteaches.com.
It's teaches.com. And definitely highly encourage you to start your day that way. And especially today, like I mentioned, technology is great, but it also is a drain and a strain on us and sometimes our relationships too. So taking that time, especially in a day and age where everything's so fast paced and everything's at our fingertips, it really is important, and it really does make a huge difference when you commit to it. Like you said, even commit to even a minute a day or 5 minutes a day for 30 days, and just notice the impact that makes. Right.
Right. I mean, because their time in silence really prepares us for the action we need to take. So we need the balance of silence and action. And it doesn't mean you half your day is silent and half your day
Right.
is action and noise, but you need the balance of both, because the time in silence uh, spawns or births the actions you need to take.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I love it. So yeah, well, tell us, obviously we know to go to your site, but what are some other ways we can follow you and find out what you're all about and anywhere else that we can connect?
Sure. I mean, really, the best place is just to go to
Okay.
silenceteaches.com, because there they can get the free ebook if they wish. And then if they're even more intrigued about centering prayer, information on my book is there. And then I have links to, I'm on Facebook and I'm on
Okay.
Instagram and I'm on Twitter. So on my site, there's the icons
Yep.
for it. So if they follow different social media, they can follow me on one of those three or all three if they want. So my website, silenceteaches.com, is the best place. And then if they want to follow me on social media, they can click on one or more of the icons right on my site to follow me on those different forms of social media.
Okay. Great. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you being here, Rich, and it's been nice to connect and to hear more about you and your story and what you're up to and the difference you're making. So thanks for being here.
No, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
Thanks. Take care.